This is MJ. Welcome back to another episode of King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows. This time I'm going to be talking about, analyzing, reviewing G Gundam episode 28, which I don't know the actual name of, but Domon provided us with a great potential name for it, which is I'm Gonna Slash You! Which is one of his very odd dialogue choices. I don't know who writes for Domon, or anyway, it's probably the same person who does it all the time, but he's got some great, hilarious dialogue. Anyway, so this episode sees him fighting this guy, Kirol from Nepal, which rhymes, and this guy's an assassin. He had lost his eyesight in a previous Gundam match where he had a much cooler looking Gundam, much more intimidating, like that Street Fighter guy with the iron mask. Anyway, and he's won all of his matches so far in the Gundam tournament where he's been pulled back into it by his country by assassinating people outside of the ring before their match, and then when the guy's a no-show, he gets to win by default. So he fails to assassinate Domon, and honestly, I was a little irritated by this episode when I watched the preview for 28 from episode 27, because episode 27, if you recall, is about the guy from India who is a snake man, Jerry, and he tries to assassinate Domon outside of the ring before the match so that he can win by default. And he had used his technique, his finishing technique outside of the ring, or we saw him using it in the ring in a recording of his previous matches where he used the Cobra and stuff. And then he used it, and that was after he used it on Domon. And then we have the same thing happening here. But this time Domon is really afraid that he will not be able to overcome the attacks of Kirol because he's seen what a good fighter Kirol is, and Kirol is an amazing martial artist, especially for being blind, but we get to see him do all sorts of stuff that shows he's an amazing fighter. He's jumping all around, he cuts a bus in half, he cuts a candle in 4 parts, and then like all the candles in a room in half, like almost at the same time, and it's just ridiculous the amount of power, his power. He can float on a leaf on one toe by focusing all his energy there. Like, this man is incredible, and Domon has fought incredible martial artists before, although I think Kirol might be the most powerful martial artist he's ever faced, besides Master Asia, but Master Asia didn't exhibit any crazy supernatural martial artist behaviors or abilities like Kirol does, so that's kind of an interesting thing. But it's funny to me because you know, aside from all that cool, like, I guess all the cool fluff stuff, like, really differentiates Kirol from Shijima, but the plot is basically the same. But then Domon is scared. He doesn't have to prove himself, or he's not like, and then, I don't know, in the Sejima episode, the episode 27, Domon, like, wanted to show to that kid that, you know, he was brave enough and strong enough and tough enough. Of course, he also has the internal motivation of wanting to win the fight, but it almost seemed like he gained inspiration from wanting to show that kid how strong he was, like to be a hero or a symbol or whatever. And then this time, he convinces himself not to be scared, and I don't think he was relying on his friends, but that's what they tried to say at the very end of the episode. But there was, like, I like this episode overall, but like, it's kind of a mess. It's kind of all over the point. Like, I don't think there was a clear theme, and I think they tried to use multiple themes or apply multiple themes to it, but it didn't work out. So anyway, I have other screen grabs I'm going to use. If you're watching the video version, I'm going to switch to right now, talking over those, because I feel like I'm kind of stagnating and I want to get into more of that interesting stuff. Like I said, they tried to lay the groundwork for Domon's friendships, helping him overcome Kirol, who is somebody who rejected people because he was rejected by his government when he lost his eyesight. Even though he's still a competent fighter, they just wanted him to cheat to win the championship by default, I guess, which doesn't really make any sense to me. But they, don't ever trust the government people, because they're the ones who have the monopoly on the use of force against individuals, whether they be their citizens or others. So, they're kind of tricky people, and time again, G Gundam tells us, there's one thing you can learn from the show, it's don't trust the G-men. Anyway, getting back to the whole, it was the power of friendship that saved Domon in this fight. Domon calls upon the fact that he's the King of Hearts, and that the same trick won't beat him twice, which I think is more important, especially because it goes back to something that Master Asia said, which is something along the lines of Domon has all of my knowledge or all of my secrets or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how he squares off against this Kirol, who is a competent warrior and opponent. But, you know, he has never fought the undefeated of the East. So that was kind of interesting to me. Just because there is that familiarity and that affection, and it's obvious Domon, or Master, still wants Domon to win, and he wants to face him himself, whether, you know, whatever his motivations are, it's obvious that he cares for him and wants to fight him at least. Another thing, though, is I've got Ho Ming and Chibity with Rain here, and it's very funny to me that Rain is standing there stoically, just kind of, she's worried, but she's pretty much stoic and watching the match. And the kids, you can see the concern on their face, and Chibity looks just as concerned as them, and he's sitting down, and he's got his hands in this funny position, and it very much looks like they're making a joke at his expense, and, you know, my expense as an American, you know, Americans are dumb children, but I kind of like it. I've laughed about the characterization of Chibity Crockett in talking about G Gundam before, and I kind of appreciate it. I don't mind it because I don't know. There's some good things in there, but I won't get into those. But another thing I wanted to say about Rain is her thighs are impossibly long. Like I get that her character design is partially made to be alluring, and they get her in some. There's some shots of her in this episode that I took note of as I was passing or watching it again. And I just kind of find it funny, and I don't know, it's a little surprising, especially because like the show's so good about just being a kid show. But then again, if I think back to like Saban's Power Rangers from back in 93 or 4, Kimberly Hart was dressed in a very alluring manner too, and it's just weird. I find it weird that you would highlight a woman's sexuality in a children's show because like it's kind of unnecessary, but whatever. Another potential angle for the power of friendship being the key matter in this episode was the fact that like Schwarzbrüder exhibits good sportsmanship, and I would say having good sportsmanship is analogous to having good friendship qualities and like extending friendship to other people. And I'm talking about when Schwartz rescues the Viking Gundam pilot from wherever, and sorry, I don't remember which country it's from. But he rescues the guy like right away, even as emergency boats are coming out to do it. But he can do it faster and easier and whatever, so he does, which is cool because when you have the power to show kindness and love, it is good to. And that concern and altruism sort of from Schwartz turns to Domon because he comes and tries to help him remember his serene state of mind, which in the end is the thing that enables him to beat Kirol, if we're being 100% honest here. But I guess, is it the serene state of mind that he reached because of the warmth and friendship from Schwarzbrüder that enabled him to, that pushed Schwartz to remind him of it, so that he could have the thing intact, or have the ability to overcome Kirol in hand? I'm not 100% sure. There was also a really cool scene of Saisaishi helping Domon to train against the long, staff weapon that Kirol has, and that was really cool because I love how competent Saisaishi is, and how much the show plays to that and doesn't deny it at all, and really puts him on equal footing with the rest of the Shuffle Alliance, who are the favorite to win. They're the top 5. They're just for show reasons. These guys are the best of the best. And I would really love if they did a sequel series for it to be about Saisaishi, which I'm sure I've mentioned before, so I won't belabor it now. I really like how the match between Mandala and Burning Gundam ends with a samurai showdown type thing. It just looks beautiful. The focus, Mandala Gundam looks really interesting. It's weird, and I kind of like it because it's so weird and off-putting. It has a charm to it, especially when it's fully extended in different positions and stuff, and just the flexibility is really cool. I do appreciate that, so... it's a cool finish. It's a standard finish, but of course, even the rain starts coming down after they've struck at each other. And this is where the I'll slash you line comes from, because Kirol's like, hey man, I'm gonna, I want to fight you, I'm gonna kill you, whatever. And Domon says, and I'll slash you, which, like I said, is hilarious. But I had another point I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, here we go. There's this one really interesting part that I made another video a couple months ago as I was watching the show focusing on this Sakuga moment of like beautiful animation. Basically, it's me rambling about how unnecessary this bit of animation is, and I show it and highlight it and talk about it. So I'll link that in the end cards. But it's really, really cool. Y'all should check it out. I think you'll appreciate it. But it's basically where Kiro unsheathes his blade within the cockpit, and you see like a brief flash, and there's a reflection of Domon. Anyway, go watch the video. It's super cool. I think it's neat. If you like it, tell me, whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Was this plot too samey for you compared to the episode 27 where he kind of fought a guy outside the ring too, and the guy was after him and whatnot? I don't know. Is Ming or Rain? Never mind. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. If you like my work, you can check out more of it at mjmunoz.com. You can support me through coffee.com/mjmunoz. You can also find playlists here of all the different stuff I'm doing. I'm talking about tokusatsu. This is the anime I'm talking about. I'm talking about comics as well. And yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. Thanks. I almost forgot to close the way I mean to close every single time. Thank you for watching, listening, checking this out. Now go out there and grasp happiness.